The final truth Marcus Aurelius understood is this: pain will always be a part of life, but what you do with it will decide the shape of your existence. You cannot live a full life and avoid being hurt. People you love will leave, dreams will fail, and your body will one day betray you. This is not a cause for despair. It is the proof that you are alive. The goal is not to hide from the blows, but to learn how to take them and keep walking. Marcus wrote, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it's not true, do not say it." This was not only about morality, but about clarity. Pain can make people act without thinking, lashing out in ways they regret. But if you live by principles that remain steady in good times and bad, pain will not have the power to make you someone you are not. Resilience is not just toughness, it is integrity under pressure. Every hardship is a crossroad. On one side is bitterness, on the other is growth. The path you take will decide the person you become. If you choose bitterness, you will waste the pain, and it will rot inside you, poisoning your thoughts and making you smaller. If you choose growth, you will carry the scars with pride, because they will remind you of the battles you have fought and survived. Do not waste your pain by pretending it doesn't hurt. Acknowledge it, feel it fully, and then put it to work. Let it drive you to become stronger, wiser, and more compassionate. Use it to deepen your understanding of yourself and the world. Every moment you spend wishing it never happened is a moment lost to what it could be teaching you. You will face pain again, tomorrow, next month, next year. Some of it you can predict, some of it will strike out of nowhere. When it comes, remember Marcus Aurelius. Remember that an emperor with the weight of an empire on his shoulders still chose to use pain as a tool. He did not hide from it. He did not curse it endlessly. He turned it into action, into service, into philosophy. This is your chance to do the same. Whatever wound you carry right now, decide that it will not be wasted. Turn it into a reason to act with courage, to live with intention, to refuse to break. Pain is inevitable. Suffering is common. But wasting pain, that is a choice. And it is the only choice that can truly rob you of your strength. So, take your pain and do something with it. Shape it into the person you want to be. Let it remind you that you are alive and that every heartbeat is a gift, even the ones that hurt. Because in the end, it is not the absence of pain that makes a life worth living. It is the ability to rise again and again, no matter how many times you fall. That is resilience. That is strength. And that is the legacy you can choose to leave. There is a moment in every hardship where you feel the breaking point. Your chest tightens, your breath shortens, your thoughts spiral. It is here, in this precise moment, that resilience is born or destroyed. Marcus Aurelius trained himself to slow down in these moments, to create space between what happened and how he responded. That space is where your power lives. When something painful happens, most people react instantly. They lash out, collapse, or shut down. The Stoic path is different. It asks you to pause, to look at the situation like an observer, and to decide deliberately what it will mean. This is not easy. Your instincts will scream at you to fight or flee. But if you can endure those first moments without reacting blindly, you will discover that pain loses much of its control over you. Marcus had a practice known as the view from above. In his mind, he would rise above the earth, seeing himself as a small figure in the great web of human history. His struggles, which seemed so large up close, became small when seen from that height. The betrayal of a friend was just one of countless betrayals across time. The loss of a battle was just another turn in the endless cycles of war and peace. This perspective did not erase the pain, but it made it bearable. You can try this yourself. The next time you are hurting, imagine you are standing on a mountain, looking down at your life from far away. The event is still there, but now you see the roads leading in and out of it. You see that it will pass, just as countless storms have passed before. And you realize that the meaning you give it will decide how it shapes you. There is another tool Marcus used: remembering the inevitability of death. To the modern mind, this sounds grim, but to the Stoics, it was liberating. If life is short, then every moment wasted on bitterness is a moment stolen from living fully. Every pain, no matter how sharp, becomes smaller when you remember that it is only part of a much shorter journey than you think. Resilience is not just about surviving pain. It is about integrating it into your identity. It is about being able to say, yes, this happened to me, and I am better because of it. That does not mean glorifying suffering or pretending to enjoy it. It means refusing to let it be wasted. If you have suffered, you have earned wisdom. The only tragedy is to leave that wisdom unused. Marcus believed that life was a constant exercise. Each challenge was a chance to train the mind. If you succeeded, you became stronger. If you failed, you learned and prepared for the next test. Either way, the pain was not wasted. But if you let hardship make you cynical, resentful, or self-pitying, you had failed the exercise. And in failing, you would face the same lesson again. Every person you admire has walked through fire. Every story of greatness is a story of struggle. Yet when we face our own struggles, we act as though something has gone wrong. The truth is, this is the process. The fire is where the steel is tempered. The pain is where the soul is shaped. If you turn away from it, you turn away from the very thing that could make you unshakable. Marcus Aurelius lived in a world far harsher than ours. Yet he carried himself with a calm that seemed unshakable. He didn't have the luxury of running from pain, not as a man, and certainly not as an emperor. When plague swept through Rome, he didn't hide in safety. When his armies faced defeat, he didn't sink into despair. He accepted that suffering was part of the contract of being alive. And in that acceptance, he found power. One of the most powerful Stoic principles is that events themselves are neutral. It is our judgment of them that makes them good or bad. Pain by itself is just a signal, like the red light on a ship's control panel. It tells you something is wrong, but it doesn't tell you how to feel. You are the one who decides whether to treat it as a curse or as a challenge. This is where most people go wrong. They give pain a story, and the story makes them weak. Marcus refused to waste energy on self-pity. He understood that the mind can either become the prison or the fortress. If he had chosen to dwell endlessly on his losses, he would have been crushed under the weight of his role. Instead, he chose to turn every hardship to a tool for self-mastery. The loss of a friend? A reminder to love deeply while you still can. The betrayal of a trusted ally? A lesson in detachment and self-reliance. The outbreak of plague? An opportunity to serve his people with courage. It's worth asking yourself, how much of your pain is actually the pain itself? And how much is the story you've built around it? We all have a tendency to replay events, to exaggerate them in our minds, to use them as proof that life is unfair. But the Stoics warned against this mental poison. Marcus would say, "If it's endurable, then endure it. Stop complaining. Not because your pain is trivial, but because complaint robs it of meaning." Resilience is not about ignoring reality. It's about refusing to be ruled by it. It is looking pain in the eye and saying, "You will not decide who I am." This doesn't happen overnight. It happens by meeting difficulty again and again without collapsing. Like a blacksmith hammering iron, life will strike you repeatedly. And each strike can make you stronger if you let it. But here is the trap. Comfort whispers lies. It tells you that life is supposed to be easy, that you should seek pleasure and avoid hardship at all costs. Modern society sells this idea to us every day. But Marcus knew better. He saw that the people who avoided hardship were also the ones who were fragile, easily broken by even small misfortunes. He wanted to be the kind of man who could face anything. That meant training himself in difficulty. It meant embracing discomfort as the forge of his character. You may not be an emperor, but you face your own battles: loss of a job, betrayal by a friend, illness, rejection, disappointment. These are your training grounds. They are the places where you decide who you are. You can use them, or you can waste them. And the truth is, if you waste them, you will have to face them again in another form until you finally learn. Pain is not your enemy. It is your teacher. Yet most of us spend our lives trying to silence it, run from it, or numb it. We imagine that happiness will come when pain finally disappears. But Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher emperor of Rome, would tell you otherwise. He would say that life without pain is not only impossible, it is undesirable, because pain is the chisel that shapes the soul. When you face suffering, you stand at a crossroads. You can waste it, curse it, and let it turn you bitter. Or you can use it. You can let it carve strength into you. Marcus wrote in his meditations that the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. These were not pretty words for him. They were survival. For an emperor who buried children, fought wars, faced betrayal, and ruled during plague, these lessons were carved into him by experience. Think about your own life. How many times have you been betrayed by people you trusted? How many times have you faced losses that made you question whether you could keep going? And in those moments, did you see your pain as something to use or as something to escape? When you waste your pain, you miss the chance to transform it into something greater. You choose comfort over growth, and that choice will haunt you. Because comfort never made anyone truly strong. Pain has two faces. The first is the suffering itself, the raw sting of loss, heartbreak, or failure. The second is the meaning you attach to it. The first you cannot fully control. The second is entirely within your power. Marcus understood this. That's why he began his days expecting hardship, betrayal, and cruelty. Not because he was cynical, but because he knew reality does not bend to our preferences. When you expect pain, you stop being shocked by it, and you start preparing for it. In our time, we have been trained to fear discomfort. At the first sign of unease, we look for distraction. We scroll, we binge, we consume. But Marcus would tell us that the man who avoids discomfort is avoiding his own soul. Resilience is not built in moments of ease. It is forged when the heart is under pressure and the mind chooses not to break. Imagine standing in the middle of a storm. The wind is tearing at you. The rain is soaking you to the bone. You have two choices: stand still and curse the storm, or move forward and let it teach you how to walk through chaos. The Stoics believe that no event has the power to ruin your life unless you give it that power. Pain will visit you, but whether it destroys you or strengthens you is your choice.